Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to cover this week. Where should I start? I guess I should go over the creepy Baron Tamago. So, everyone could basically assume that he wasn't dead. This is creepier, but it is within good Oda style. And I like how he throws in these random powers. I mean, if there's one thing he's been doing throughout this arc, it's bringing back Devil Fruit abilities to their core, as in abilities that just didn't really make a lot of sense originally. Because remember, before Luffy became such an awesome fighting rubber death machine, he literally was just made out of rubber and could stretch a lot. So, when you think about how one actually has to take their Devil Fruit abilities and make something out of them, like Cracker, despite being the weirdest fruit in a while, and that's coming off of the Dressrosa arc, which had some decently weird fruit, it finally feels like I was getting back to the point where Devil Fruits are not just about power, but it's the power put behind the creativity of what the Devil Fruits are. Cracker showed that off with his biscuit fruit. And, unfortunately, Tamago didn't get as much screen time as his build-up back starting with the Fishman arc would have, made like we would have expected. Sorry, choking on some popcorn. Fuck. But yeah, there was a bit of a rush in Tamago. But of course, out of all the things that could be put into this arc, that was probably one of the things that probably could have been cut. So, cut that down to size just a teensy bit. So that feels a teensy bit rushed, but not to the point where we actually give two shits. I mean, honestly, I was kind of looking forward to Tamago. But I feel like what we got in the start of the fight was good enough as is. Wasn't really that much build-up, per se. Just a couple cameos throughout here and there. Because that's what he and Peckham's had. They had cameos throughout after their introduction, like their, cameo during the Punk Hazard arc. Speaking of which, Caesar, what's he doing? But I'd rather not spend this video's runtime talking about things that weren't included in this chapter. I think I'll make another video on that this weekend, so look forward to, plot points we may have forgotten about. Sometime this weekend. But, like I was saying, in accordance to this chapter, certain things had to be cut. Tamago was one of them. Other things that were a little speedy, but didn't feel rushed either, were the chopper parts. Actually, great segue. Pedro looked like he was blowing himself up. He's like, fuck this. He himself was not having the whole Tamago situation. Or at least it looked like it was. And boom, we find out that he was pulled into a mirror and he is with the others, and they know that Jinbei is with them now. The only thing they have to continue looking for is Brook, and Luffy, and Sanji. Sanji, he's contemplating stuff, and we're not entirely sure where his contemplations will take him. Honestly, when it comes to him and Luffy in this current, point of the story, it's more like they just have to meet again. Now that certain things have been aired out, and the only real plot point left in terms of, things keeping Sanji there is Zeph. So in the end, that just has to be covered with him and Luffy taking out Big Mom or something of that nature. If they don't meet and air this shit out, though, it's just gonna be, dragged out. Which is probably why other things had to be cut, because apparently this part of the story must be dragged out. I mean, obviously, the fact that, them meeting would solve a couple things right off the bat, including Luffy's hunger, considering he has a Straw Hat bento on him, Sanji, I mean. That would be covered. At least Luffy's current predicament would be covered, which he is still stretching out, and I admire that. Don't admire the padding, but I admire the resolve. So, one thing I had to take into account was Brook finally got his ass whooped. Now, since, there aren't that many other plot points left to cover in this chapter, this is where we can get into the bigger, juicier things, segueing into Brook losing to Big Mom and basically being petted and disgraced like a little puppy dog. Ooh. And, having his head shoved into Big Mom's cheek. At least it wasn't shoved into other areas, or between other cheeks. And speaking of her cheeks, you guys did notice something about them, right? Like, usually her cheeks are, quote-unquote, they're just, a little round, it looks like a red dot. On closer inspection, either that was just really weird doodling in of the red spots on her cheek, or those aren't red spots on her cheek and they're actual, hair. It looked like there was chest hair coming out of her frigging cheeks. Look close on it. If I had a better editing system, I'd, pull that up and show you the full thing. But I don't. So, you just have to live with that image subconsciously in your head. You're welcome. All jokes aside, we get into the biggest thing, which is pudding is a lot more useful to Big Mom than we thought. Now, the acting thing, alright, that made sense in one context, but would Big Mom really put that much faith in pudding just because of her acting? Honestly, the only reason that, things just came off so weird was it was just too good to be true, pudding's acting. I mean, it still got Sanji and the others. Hell, Brook technically doesn't even know that she's a bad guy, which I almost completely forgot. Of course, ironically, him not pretending that they've met could work in other circumstances, but more for Pudding's agendas, which brings me to the point of why she's so important to Big Mom, and the little bit of childish banter, which could just be put off as such, but could also be put as a potential bump in their respective roads, being that Pudding's three-eyed tribe potentially has a power on par with the capability of hearing all things that keep butchering his name, Monomosuke, or you know what I'm talking about, little dragon boy from Wano. Yeah, that's the kingdom. Him, Luffy, and Roger. They have that power, although it seems like there are different levels to that shit. And, some people think Luffy could possibly, awaken it fully. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a power that he really had during the beginning of the series, so it'd be nice if that was, something he could develop slowly, kind of like hockey. But I think Pudding's power, well, while the other is hearing all things, I think it could be like seeing all things. Not like Sharingan or Rinnegan, like Naruto shit, but just being able to have an understanding of what the poneglyph says. I mean, there's nothing we know about her tribe right now. So that I'm looking forward into getting more into on a later part of the story. But will the fact that that power has supposedly not awakened yet be a part of conflict for Pudding and Big Mom? Will that turn Big Mom against Pudding? Will that turn Pudding against Big Mom? Or will things just be all hunky-dory and shit like nothing's the problem? Either way, what do you guys think of this chapter as a whole? Was it a good chapter? Of course it was a good chapter. But what did you guys take out of this? From Oda going back to his roots a bit more, to the rushing of Baron Tamago's abilities, and so on and so forth. I personally am okay with that to an extent, and I can't wait to see what we have in store. So, if you guys are not subscribed already, we just hit 100 subscribers, so join this growing community. And I also like to do streams from time to time, so also join in on the streams at Twitch. All of my social media is in the description below, so click when you have a chance. This has been Smalls of Black Knight 94. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will see you guys next time. Peace.